Hello and welcome to the story as to how I almost bought a Lamborghini Gallardo with a hidden salvage history and cost myself tens of thousands of pounds. There's an important lesson in this story for all of us. So if you're a subscriber or usual viewer of this channel, you're probably aware I recently sold my Nissan GTR in order to go for a bit of a change, buy something different. Now in typical YouTube surprise fashion, I was keeping it quite under wraps as to what I was looking to replace the GTR with. However, the cat's a little bit out the bag now with this Lamborghini Gallardo story. So, yep, it was and still is one of them I'm potentially looking at, amongst a few other cars as well. It's not necessarily going to be a Gallardo, but it is certainly not going to be this Gallardo. So let's start by taking a look at the car. So here it is. It was a 2006 Lamborghini Gallardo Spider. Looked absolutely amazing. And before we go any further, I feel it's really important here to mention as well that the garage who were selling this were nothing but professional, friendly, attentive. I hold absolutely nothing against them because I truly believe they were not aware of the accident that this car had had. They couldn't have been more helpful. Anything I wanted specific photos of, any descriptions that I wanted, anything I needed, they done it. So I don't blame them. I don't think they're at fault whatsoever. Now as to whether when I viewed it in person I would be able to tell and spot a potential bit of crash damage, who knows, very possibly, but certainly in the photos it looked absolutely sublime. The car is located down in London and I'm up here in Scotland, so viewing it in person isn't always the most practical. You're kind of reliant on photos and videos that the dealer sends you. Now here's where things get interesting, because you always think about someone getting caught out buying a bad salvage hidden history car as being a bit lackadaisical, not really doing their homework on the car, but I'd like to think I certainly did. The service history all aligned, the MOTs all aligned, there was no mileage discrepancies. Year on year, this thing had travelled the same distance, done roughly the same thing, which is what you want to see with these cars. They don't cover a massive amount of mileage anyway. Owners tend to have a different car, so certainly in between COVID times, 2021, the car didn't do much, but it's easy to disregard on this type of car. So within that service history, and this is where things get really interesting, there was an HPI report. It was from Auto Trader and it was clear. Now, this has just reinforced what I've always done, and that is I never rely on someone else's provided HPI report. Definitely not when they're the dealer trying to sell the car. As professional and friendly and as great as the salesman may be, I'm still always going to do my own HPI report. Now, their HPI report was clear and mine was not. Why was that? Well, here's the thing. All HPI reports are not created equal, and I think that's something we can all take away from this video. Some of them will look in the insurance database and will flag up if a car has been marked as an insurance write-off, but in order to do that, the insurance company would have had to have been made aware of the car and determined it to be a complete loss. However, certain HPI report providers will look at salvage auction history, so it'll traipse through the last 10-15 years of salvage auctions and look for that specific car that you've either put the plate in for or put the VIN number in for. On that note, it's important always to get the VIN number as well, as you'll find out. So I followed my own advice, thankfully. I went off and got my own HPI report, and here it is. And so our very lovely, shiny, premiumly priced dealership Lamborghini appears having been sat in a Copart yard sometime in 2015 with a caved in quarter panel. Now I know what you're likely thinking here. The damage doesn't look that bad. What's the big deal? Here's the thing, on these cars, parts even more insignificant than a rear quarter panel can be eye-wateringly expensive, and that's if you can get a hold of them from the factory in the first place. Now, if the owner has been unscrupulous enough to try and pull the wool over the garage's eyes, or I don't exactly know if it was on a sale or return or the garage bought it outright, it wasn't my business, but if whoever's behind this is unscrupulous enough to advertise the car and bury this history, then chances are they haven't done a very good fix on it. Do you reckon they've gone to thousands of pounds of expense to source a new rear quarter panel, or just put a Doda filler in it and put a shiny paint job over the top? Now it seems a bit insignificant given the massive damage on the door, but that rear deck lid's been scratched up a bit, the door's damaged, that wheel as well has taken a hit during it all, which is onto some very expensive and very hard to source suspension arms, as well as the drive shaft which goes directly into the gearbox. I'd come this close to sending the money over for a Lamborghini Gallardo with a hidden salvage history. So what do? Well, I got right onto the dealer and said, "Hello Mr. Premium Dealer, are you aware that your very shiny Lamborghini Gallardo that you're trying to sell me has actually got a hidden salvage history?" Because automatically you assume that they know, for right or wrong, you just assume that they're maybe trying to pull the wool over your eyes. Now, big props in respect to the dealer. They said, "Grant, we're very sorry about this. We were not aware of any of this history because we'd ran an HPI through AutoTrader and it had come back as clear. But as we know, that's only really going to check for insurance write-offs. It's not going to look through the salvage auction history." I sent them over all the details, and sure enough, the car was taken off of sale and has since vanished. Now that's part of the reason for making this video and being so visible with the car. You can see the registration plate on the car, because if that seller's tried to sell it once, I don't know who this seller is, I'm not implying it was the garage that I was in communications with because they seemed very professional, very upstanding, but if the seller who's behind this has tried to sell it once, chances are they're going to try to sell it again, and hopefully not to you after watching this video. So there we have it, an important lesson for us all. Make sure you HPI cars and make sure you use an HPI check which is going to look through the salvage history. It's so important. Even if the car's just a couple of £1,000, never mind a Lamborghini Gallardo, run one of these checks. They weren't expensive. I think the one I chose was like £10 or £20, so there really is no excuse for not doing it. Now thank you so much for watching. I'm relieved to have saved that money. I hope this helps you as well, and if you do tend to buy second-hand cars, hit that subscribe button, hit the like button, and I'll see you for the next video.